Oh, hey, what's up? Here is the Duke. And yeah, wow, this looks like a lot of work, but you know what? It's easy. I do it with you, and if you follow every my step in this video, sorry, I'm a little sick in a moment. You get the same result as me here for this beautiful Captain Marvel miniature from Atomicmassgames, Marvel Crisis Protocol. Wow! This miniature is inspired. The color scheme is inspired by my friend Josh Gifford from Gifts Minis, and he painted it in the Endgame suit, and I thought, yeah, this is the color scheme, the best what you can do for her, but because the bluish is boring me, and I think, okay, I will copy that and show the people how to do this professional way. And I took the base. I show how I do this base, the stone, the comet from this outer space, because she comes from outer space down to earth with this stone, and I try to paint some gluish fire things between these comet stones. Okay, first we start with the prime. Have fun, enjoy. So yeah, we started with the prime. Same thing like everything other, German water into the black primer or Fiji water or whatever, and mix it pretty diluted for your airbrush and spray the whole miniature complete black. And yeah, that's it for the prime. After that we use the gray, put the gray into your black mix it very diluted, pretty good consistency, like yeah, milk, whatever the people say, yeah. And check out you have no bubbles inside or something like that. You can push your brushes and bring it to your cup, and yeah, and go further and further and set up more lights. If I do now here in this video, you can see it, and I think I let the picture speak. Now comes one of the best trick to change and clean your cup from your airbrush, because for changing the color, and I learned this from Sergio Calvo. He's one of the best painter I ever know it, and he showed me this, and I say, hey, cool, this is a good idea, pretty fast, pretty clean, you can see, and yeah, use it for every changing color in your pot. Yeah. Now it's time to paint the first base coat of the suit, and I take the deep red and mix it a little bit with black, you see, like I do here in the video, and pretty diluted, yeah, and spray it on. Here's a funny fact. I realized that I used the wrong needle. It's a 0.3 millimeter, but we need a 0.2 millimeter because the miniature is very small, very filigrane. And yeah, and I thought, hey, what the fuck is going on? But then I realized I have the wrong needle inside. Yeah, you see, I took away the needle cup. And yeah, because you have, for this airbrush, it's a cheap airbrush, you have a better precise for small things, or you see, yeah, what I'm doing with this. Yeah, and then I spray. My plan is go with the next red color, go over every high parts from the body, from the suit, where the light's coming, and set up some highlights with the next layer. And I do this more and more and more with brighter tones and brighter tones. It's up to you which reds you use. You can use whatever you want, yeah. And at the end of the video I show which colors I used. Yeah, okay, try it. Oh, this was a lot of work. I think we do this very good, and here is the first result before we start with the brush. And now we need some wet palette. I choose the painter size. This is a smaller one from redgrassgames.com. The best tool, essential tool for painting. And put some German water under the paper. And yeah, and now we choose the blue tones for the blue parts of the suit. And what can I say? Very diluted with water. Every time I mix my colors, every time with water, really distilled water, and used some drops. You see what I'm doing here? I use 3, sometimes 4 drops of water, and get a little bit on the tissue or my finger, and then put layer on layer over all the blue parts, for example here of the miniature. It's very important that you use a good brush with a good tip, and for a clean brush. Don't go over the red, stay in the main parts of the blue. Yeah, that's it. So and now I prepare the non-metallic, I mean the gold things on her suit. She has some gold stars and stripes and so on, very tiny. And I started with the base, with the color, and mix it the heavy gold brown with the sepia shade. But first, don't forget to paint every part in with the Arbuckles brown. Give a solid undercoat. And yeah, I make a mistake here a little bit. I don't took the matte medium from Vallejo in this color, because this color have the ability to a little bit to go shiny, yeah. And but okay, it's good for here, because we go with another colors always over these parts. And you see what I'm doing here. I'm starting with some parts of these really tiny things on her body to paint it with the base color in light gold tone, and go further and further with more the main color, the heavy gold brown, for example, or mix it with ivory to get more. Okay, in this case we have something interesting situation. We can take the same color for the hair. We take the gold brown for the hair and paint the whole hair, because we have super shadows from the priming. And you can go further and further with more layers. So now we come to the fantastic fairy flesh set for the flesh skin. I recommend this to everybody because the colors are pretty awesome, and I choose these 3 flesh tones. Now is a good point to paint, highlight the hair again. We do some dark sand in the mix of our hair and go brighter and brighter and paint some stripes of the blonde hair of the 90s look. but this is the new look from, I think, from the Endgame. I think the same haircut from the movie. Yeah, but this is good point to paint this now. Okay, now it's time to highlight the face again, and I mix more color from my 3 chosen colors and a little bit more in my flesh skin tone, and try to get very diluted, so like in glaze consistency over some parts of the highlight face, and the nose, under here on the top of the head, and the eyebrows. You see what I'm doing here? Yeah, and go further and further and check out where the light is coming. If you see, I have painted some eyes in this video. I took the ivory only for the eyeballs because she have no eyes. She came from outer space, and I paint only with ivory the eyeballs. Yeah. So if you are happy with your face, we take the Elder Baron red from Scale Color and starting to highlight every red part of the suit. This is a long process. It's going really long because you brighten up the tone you with white or ivory, for example, and mix it very diluted with water to englaze consistency, because we go over the highlight parts every time, layer for layer, and then we down glaze it with a glaze from Citadel, Bloodletter's glaze, or something a little bit the normal color without the ivory mix, because we want to get a mid-tone from the darkest part to the highest part, with the glaze and the mid-tone and the highlights. And after that, this is very, very long, because we save time to don't paint shadows, because we have the shadows from the priming. And if we go with the layer forward and forward and forward, then we don't have to paint some shadows, or to give them stronger shadows. Yeah, because we have it. And yeah, see what I'm doing, try to understand every time with a very diluted glaze consistency, back and forth. And yeah, that's it. So, as I said, this is a long process, and we try to bring better contrast and transition between the colors from the dark to the highest points, and like a gradient that is yeah, very important. And the next step is, if you're happy with your red tones, you can now increase your blue tones from the blue parts of the suit. I take the base color and mix a little bit of brighter blue. You can choose every blue that you want, but the important thing is that the next blue is brighter. Sorry, they have a brighter tone. I use from AK Active the intense blue, and add sometimes a little bit more and more for highlights and details, and set up here and there some light points. Very fine, very diluted. Be careful. You see here I paint the stripes on the suits in the front of the body, and some light points at the sharp, I don't know what's the name of this thing. And yeah, it gives a little bit deepness and highlight to, in the same time, of the miniature. And this is a little bit the eye catcher. And this is very important thing, the eye catcher, where the eye is watching and see the spots of lightning. So now it's time for the shadows. It's pretty simple, because we take our base color and mix some black in the base color. But in this case, I use a little bit from the Coelia Nightshade, or what's the name of this Citadel washes, and mix it a little bit, because they have a cool greenish touch, and mix it a little bit in my shadow color, and dilute it with distilled water, and get a cool shade. A nice shade, nice deep touch for the deepest parts of the blue armor suits, to create a really deep shadow. And here is important that the color is super diluted, because this is very strong and have an intense ability. And here you see the result. You can do this on every part if you want, yeah, on the deepest areas, yeah, really only in the deepest areas, yeah, you can choose this option. Now it's time to bring some finishing touches, the magical yeah, touches of the miniature. I glaze the blue-green, mix it to a glaze, and I glaze some of the blue parts very gently with this blue-green glaze, because it gives them cool color tone, and looks very nice on this miniature. And yeah, give her so like a bluish greenish look. Looks very awesome. It's hard to see with the eye, but it's here on the camera, but it looks very awesome. And now you can go further and paint some with the same color, with mix it with white, some light dots. Here is important that you go here you see I make a mistake. Here is important that you go from the upper part a little bit down to the middle part, and that's it. Yeah, set only some light parts, every part of the bluish thing if you want, and that's it. That's the trick. I think it's also a good time to paint every small details now with the last light highlights. For example, the reddish thing. For example, the reddish thing for the red lips, and this is a very careful step. You paint the lips very diluted with a good red. I mix it with a little bit fuchsia from scale color and the normal red, and paint very gently the lips. And here is important that you hold your miniature in the right position for your lips painting, because it's very difficult to hit with the brush exactly the lips. And yeah, you see what I'm doing here. This is also a good situation to paint the reddish tone, the pink tone for the flesh on the cheeks and so on, because there's a woman and they give him some the makeup and bring a little bit the reddish tone, like I do here with the tip very gently, very diluted, as I say every time, very diluted, and go from downside to up and mix it this a little bit, and paint it. Here you can see I highlight and start to get the finishing touches for the gold parts, and it's very simple. Mix the ivory in your base color, take a little bit pale gray or pale blue in the mix, because it gives a stronger touch, and then paint it very gently. Be careful, some of the light points, some of the reflections, and that's the trick, because the things are very tiny. You have no chance to paint like a super pro, super model every part, and paint it very gently, some light points, some reflection that the eye will catch it. That's the trick. That's it. And here you see the wet palette with all the colors. Now comes to the base creation. This is very simple. I start with 3 different gray tones from dark to bright, and paint the whole base, paint a stone in a different tone, let some shadows, and use for the dry brush session the Longbeard gray from Citadel and the dry brush from Artis Opus, but you can take every brush that you want. This is not so important. And the next thing is started with some fire painting, but fire painting I will explain in another video. Check out what I'm doing here, and I think it's pretty easy. yeah, that's it. That's the complete miniature. I think it's a super result, looks pretty awesome also on the table, and I think this is not so difficult, and you can do this as the same way like me. And yeah, after that I show which colors and so on I used. And don't forget to support my supporters, redgrassgames.com and Vallejo and so on, and you can check it out, my comrades, King's Corner Painting and Rupee One, if you want to see them on Instagram. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and very important, subscribe my channel here on YouTube, and let a comment in if you want, or if you have some recommended or some things that I must change it, then tell me. I can do it more. I'm not a professional filmmaker or something like that. I do it by myself for fun. And yeah, and if I had more subscribers and so on, I can do much more videos. Yeah, I hope you understand this. And yeah, let me here read what you think about this, and hope you have fun. Then I say see you in the next video, and have a funny day. Bye.